All right, mortar crew, folks. All right, folks, welcome to Fort Macon State Park. What you're going to see now is an artillery demonstration and how we're going to demonstrate how a mortar is used. What you see here is you see a 10-inch siege mortar, which meant it shot a 10-inch ball. I know, that was a tough one. Anyway, it shot a 10-inch ball. This ball that went in this mortar was 88 pounds. And it had 3 pounds of gunpowder in it to explode on the other end. You take this 88-pound ball, you would put it in there, and off it would go, the fuse would ignite, and the thing would go up. This mortar here could shoot with a 4-pound charge at 45 degrees, could shoot a ball and hurl it over 2,100 yards. So you're talking something to go over a mile from right here. These were not, these were not part of the fort when the siege came and the Federals came in. The Confederates had no mortars. Thus, that didn't help them too much when they were getting attacked. The Federals put these in afterwards. These are actual war between the states mortars that were manufactured in the year 1862, and the Federals after that put them in this fort, and here they lay. These are the only 2 cannon or guns that were part of the fort that ever came back. All the rest of them, nobody has a clue where they came from. The 3 that you see up on the wall, they're reproduction. They do fire, and at 3:30 we'll be firing one of those up there. Like this one here's a lot smaller one. That is an original tube, but again, we don't know where that's fought. So mortars are loaded like, pretty much like cannons. They're muzzle loaded, except it takes a lot more to it and stuff. And if you've never seen one go off, you'll be highly impressed. I think everybody comes back and sees it, and even the reenactors think it so much. It usually takes 5 men to fire one of these mortars. It doesn't do a lot of stuff where somebody runs up there, throws some gunpowder in there, throws a ball in there, and lights a match up, and boom, it doesn't go that way. There's many different things that you have to use. To ignite the powder in here, they use something called a friction primer. It's a little mechanical device that has a wire rope on it and a brass tube. When that's pulled via a lanyard that you'll see in here, it's like a match going off on a matchbox that lights that up, throws down into the powder. And unlike the other cannons, the powder is all exposed here. It's not like in one big woolen bag that goes in, you actually pour it in here. But you'll see what's going on. And pointing mortar is a lot different too, and I'll go over that as we're going through. But anyway, we got your crew here. I have a number 1 man and a number 2 man. They work the front of the mortar. They help load, they help clean the ball, they help make sure everything is good here. I got a 3 and 4 man in the back who help load and move, shift the mortar around where we're going to do. And the number 3 man is the one who actually ignites the charge when it goes out. Now the first thing that we do when a mortar crew comes up here, is they usually hurl and put the mortar in the position that you see now. When the mortar is brought in, it comes off a mortar wagon or a transport, and then they actually heave it forward to about where we're going to do it. We have a target that's that way. Now if you look over at this side of the fort, you'll see that there's a stake up there. And that's kind of where my target is on the other end. So if the enemy are entrenched over there somewhere and I need to drop a ball on top of them, explode so I can get them out of the way. So to do this, the gunner would come back here, and I am the gunner. I'm in charge of the piece, and I give all the orders, and I have to aim it and do all this inside a fort when I can't see anything going on. So I'll stand here, and my first command to my crew will be plant the pointing stakes. They'll actually pick up the pointing stakes, the 1 and 2 man. The 1 will get the stakes, 2 will get the hammer, or the mallet that we have. They'll go out in the front of the mortar with my assistance, and I will kind of get the general direction where I want it to be. And right there. And what they'll do is they'll put that in place. Again, starting off, it's not rocket scientists, but still I have to get the general direction where I want it to be. They'll come out back here and they'll set the next one behind the mortar, and I'll line that up with the 2, and you'll see what goes on about this a little later. The last stakes goes behind the number 1 man. That's where he puts one of his items or his implements for using the mortar. All stakes being planted, they go back and put themselves in here. I would come up then and pick up a board a pointing cord board and a pointing cord. And I'll put this on the stake. Very important, very high tech. Accuracy or speed with a mortar wasn't necessarily anything there. You'd shoot about 12 times an hour with a mortar and send the ball. We come back to the front. Everything's ready. The stakes are pointed. The next thing I'll do is take implements. So I'll sit here and I'll hand out each individual bag. One is a gunner's haversack with all the items that the gunner needs to aim it. That will go to me, and I'll place that on me. The next one will be the number 4 bag. The number 4 bag, that has in it where he would go back and put powder in there, also where the fuse goes for the ball to go off. And the number 3 man would get his pouch that has a priming wire that tries to make sure the vent's clear, and it has its friction primers and lanyard. I also have something that goes to the number 1 man. It's sleeves. It's a pair of woolen sleeves that he'll put over his jacket. Because when he's got to go in there and wipe out the mortar, he doesn't want to get his jacket all nasty and everything. So he'll put those on there, and then he gets a wiper, just a rag. And he'll put that back on the stake that he put in there earlier to keep that up, keep it out of the dirt. Now you see the number 3 man helping number 1 do it. Next, I will hand the basket over to the number 2 man, and he'll set that behind him about a yard. There's something called a tampion. This goes in the mortar to keep the water and all the dirt out. He'll set that over behind the basket. And then he'll have a set of tongs here. This is to lift the cannonball up. And he'll set that between the basket and himself. All right? And then they'll all pick up their hand spikes. There's 4 hand spikes because you have to be able to move this mortar around anywhere when we need to load it. So everything's set right now. Now I'll go through, and when you put a mortar in position, it doesn't necessarily lay level. So we have to get the mortar level. I have to know where it's level. So I have this device here called a gunner's level. It's a brass device. It's got a little point on the end that slides up and down, and it's got a spirit level. I'll take this, put it on the top of the mortar, and I'll find out exactly where level is, put the little point down, reach into my haversack, grab myself a piece of chalk, piece of soap or something, and I'll actually draw it on there. So now I know exactly where level is on this mortar. For wherever I move it, that's exact center. Now it's time for us to load the piece. It's all here, and the command will be load. They'll drop their hand spikes. All right, the number 2 man will go back and get his tongs, go back with the number 4 man to get the ball, prepare the fuse, everything. Number 1 man will get the wiper. Number 3 man will sweep off the platform. I'll get something called a spoon scraper. There's a scraper on the one side to get any built up carbon in there, a spoon to pick up any heavy stuff. So I'll reach down there and see what I got and drag out anything that might be in there. Actually, a little bit of junk in there and throw it out. And then the number 1 man will come in and he'll wipe out anything left to make sure it's nice and clean. We don't want to have any misfires or any problems with powder, so he'll wipe out everything that's there. During this time, when everything's wiped out and I'm satisfied, the number 3 man will punch the vent to make sure it's clear all the way down through. The 2 and 4 man will bring the ball up and come in front of me. All right? The 4 man will come across in front of me, hand off the spike to them, and they'll stand here and hold it. Now, this is an 88-pound ball, and I'm usually moving a little more when I'm explaining things. I'll reach over here, reach in, and get the powder charge. The powder charge is just put in a little bag. I'll actually open this bag up and pour the powder out into the barrel. And I'll take my hand and I'll level it out where it needs to go. And make sure everything's in there proper where I want to go. Now, the charge for this For, like I said, 2,100 yards is 4 pounds of powder. Generally 3 pounds is about where you used it, and you put your elevation wherever it is to get the ball to go that way. The next thing I do here, and this is not part of the regular drill, is I put a piece of aluminum foil here. This is so I don't bake the ball. We don't need to burn it. So this will bring up, so the ball will be brought up and lift it up, and it'll get put in. It'll be wiped at the bottom to make sure it's clean. Nothing's there. We don't want to have anything. It'll get put into the muzzle of the mortar. They'll slide out the hand spike. All right, everybody will pick up their hand spike. And my job is to do is to put that down in there with the fuse right at the center axis of the ball in there. And the fuse is there, it comes to the front at the top. So when the fire comes up, it comes around and ignites the fuse. So if there was, they were entrenched out there, like say 1,500 yards, I'd want to have probably cut it about 10 seconds. When 10 seconds went off, it would go up and blow there, and it'd actually rain shrapnel on anybody. And you'll see the number 4 man bring the pointing cord towards the bag for me. While he's doing this, sounds like they're a little weak on the planting of it. Yeah, enemy fire just got us. All right, then I'm going to take another one while they're doing that. I'm going to pick up this implement right here. This is a gunner's quadrant. This looks like a level that you would see for carpentry and stuff. So this level is, I'll take it, open up the front of it. It's got a little pendulum in there, a little lead weight that goes on a screw on the back. This is graduated from -10 degrees to 90 degrees. And for where we're firing, I generally like the cannon around 50 degrees, the mortar at 50. So this will go on here. Technical difficulty. All right. This will go on here. It goes on the left side of the cannon. I'll bring that down here. I'll set it up, and I'll look at it. And we're at about 52 degrees. That's good for what we need to do. We'll put the quadrant back in. Keep it out of the way so it won't trip over anything. And then I'll come to the back. I pick up another string with a bullet, weighted to the bottom. If they want to come through now, send them.